A week ago, the 49ers were staring at the number 1 seed. Now they're the number 6 seed, preparing to face the Philadelphia Eagles in Philly with less momentum, more players hurt. The question now becomes, can this team still get it done? We'll talk about what we think on today's 49K Pod.
You're listening to the 49 Carats Podcast, a 49ers Goldmine production with Stephanie Sanchez.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats Podcast. I'm your host, Steph. It is Tuesday, January 6th. And as I said, a lot has changed since the last time I did a show because I didn't get to do a post game for the show for the game on Saturday. So we're all beaming with optimism, I think, the last time, which was in the preview show on Friday. And boy, have things changed quite a bit since then. But it's also been a while since I feel like I've spoken to you, Weston. And it's Tuesday today, but we still got a show here. So how are you doing?
Dun, 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 right? That's how I feel related to the expectations we had, and the tease that we got over the last few weeks and rolling into last week. But outside of that, Happy New Year to your audience, right? I haven't talked to them in 2026 and, here to talk Niner ball. So we're going to have fun and recap a little bit of what we saw and probably talk about a little bit what's to come.
And there's plenty to talk about for sure. So we're going to get through.
Uh-oh. I'm live without Steph noticing she's dropped. I'm sure she'll be right back. There she is. Yeah.
That's what happened. I accidentally went back on my cursor here. Sorry about that. I'm here.
It took me a second to realize you'll go back and watch this that live. It was still showing live. I just thought maybe you disconnected.
Oh yeah.
I was like, I should probably say something.
Still rolling. We still roll out here, but we've got a lot of topics to discuss. We'll start off talking about just the injury updates that we last got from Kyle Shanahan. We got those yesterday, so put those up on the screen. The big ones are, of course, Tatum Bethune with the groin injury. Yeah, actually suffered a groin tear. Still up in the air whether he's going to be needing to have surgery, but we do know he's going to be out for the rest of the season. Will not participate in the playoffs. That is a huge blow to the 49ers, just given the fact they're already down so many important pieces on defense, and just linebacker group just continues to get pummeled with injuries. Latest one as well, Dee Winters ankle injury and Luke Gifford with a quad injury. Both of those guys will be evaluated throughout the week. And on the defensive line, you got Keon White with the hamstring injury, will be evaluated throughout the week. Kalia Davis with knee tendonitis is going to be day-to-day. And safety Jair Brown, rib injury, going to be day-to-day as well. As far as the players who missed Saturday's game, Trent Williams with the hamstring injury and Ricky Pearsall with knee and ankle injuries, they both will be evaluated throughout the week. And wide receiver Jacob Cowan, who we haven't seen at all this season, well, he'll have his practice window opened this week, according to Kyle Shanahan, which I don't think we really care anymore at this point. But, speaking of these injuries, though, it just feels like a lot to overcome. Besides what we witnessed on Saturday, as far as how the defense looked, even when those guys were healthy, by the way, there was a lot to be concerned about, right? So I think just the fact that now you're getting further down your depth chart, and yes, I understand the 49ers did sign a linebacker. We'll talk about that in a short moment here, but still, I have a lot of concerns about this linebacker group with injuries, and I feel like it's insurmountable at this point.
Yeah, I think I felt that way for a last few weeks, let alone this. And look, it's the 19th week of the season in the National Football League. Everybody's injury reports look like this right now. The day-to-days be evaluated this week. It's just the resources were already depleted. And these are the names, and for the most part, that were filling the void, right? And now they're no longer there. Look at that. I mean, you're talking about no Fred Warner, now no Tatum Bethune, potentially no Dee Winters, potentially no. So recently signed Eric Kendricks is the best available that you have to offer at the position, and you're going into the playoffs. Like, I don't want to be doom and gloom. It's just can't overstate the obvious right here is that, like, this is a problem, you know? And the reality for some of these guys is, like, if you're on the fringe of playing or not playing, well, you know, it's win or go home. So you're playing, you know what I mean? And, like, do they finish games? It's just a whole different list of concerns that you have at this point.
Yeah, and yeah, it's enough reason to not feel good about the defense. We already weren't feeling great about it. But I think the game on Saturday just kind of highlighted how important it is for the offense to be able to score points. And if they don't, it's going to look like it did on Saturday every single time, because this defense is not going to be able to hold anybody up, you know, and yeah, I'm actually surprised Seattle only scored 13 points, you know, like, and it could have been more, you know, had their kicker made those 2 kicks, but you know, still
that thing, like, we just said all that we said about the concerns about the defense, and here we are on Saturday. They actually held up their end of the bargain, right? Even if they make both of those kicks and it's 19 total points scored, based on what we saw over the last few weeks from this offense, you feel great about the defense giving up less than 20 points in the game. You feel like you'd have a chance to win, but instead you saw the offense take the turn of the scapegoat in this instance by putting up 3 points on Sundays or Saturday stuff. Like, that just can't. Biggest game of the season. I understand that Seattle's defense has definitely been carrying them, right, when the offense hasn't been producing. And it's a really good defense. Like, it actually is a very good defense. They're a very good football team. But the opportunity was there, you know, and in that moment, with all that is potentially look at your screen, right? Like, if you're not playing this weekend, you feel pretty confident you're getting half of that screen back, right? Like, back onto your roster depth by having that bye week. All that's at stake, and you know, this is constantly what Kyle gets nabbed for. Like, the big game, big moment. Offense just didn't hold up their end of the bargain.
3 points is the lowest point total the 49ers offense or team has put together since Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach of the 49ers. To put things into perspective, just a very forgettable performance, but unfortunately it'll probably stay in our minds for quite a while, as it will for probably, I'm sure, Seahawks fans as well. Now, the one thing I want to talk about really quickly before we get into who the 49ers signed, just the fact that Trent Williams and Ricky Pearsall, to me, obviously those were big losses for the 49ers on Sunday or Saturday. They could have helped immensely, especially seeing how offensive line, like the Seahawks have a really good defensive line, right? But I think even having Trent Williams there over Austin Pleasance would have made quite the difference. And I get it, you know, they have a really good run defense as well, which we saw all night, but maybe you get an extra yard or two on certain runs if Trent Williams there, you know, just those things. And, you know, Ricky Pearsall is, you know, as far as the wide receivers go on this team, he gets open more than any of those other guys. So I think Ricky Pearsall would have benefited this offense greatly, but you know, you didn't have them on Saturday. The question is, are they going to be available to play on Sunday against the Eagles? If they don't, I'm not going to feel great about the 49ers being able to put too many points up on the board. I mean, I'm sure they could muster up more than 3. I honestly thought Brock Purdy played well, you know, given everything. I don't think he played badly, despite what the score might suggest. But yeah, I think having those 2 guys back will make a huge difference come Sunday, and I'd feel better about the offense putting up more points if those guys are available.
Yeah, I can't hard to disagree with. It still doesn't lie. I still think the odds are stacked against them no matter who's on the field at this point in time, but we'll talk about that in a little bit. But yeah, like to your point with Trent and Ricky being active, like Ricky clearly gets the most separation at the wide receiver position. Does that make, you know, does that change the outcome on 2 plays throughout the game. That might be first downs, increase time of possession, allow you to run the football. You have no idea, right? Like, but you have to feel good or feel confident that that would have been the case. Even running the football, Trent Williams versus Austin Pleasant. I don't think collectively the offensive line played a bad game. They were clearly outmatched talent-wise by that defensive line, but certainly wasn't their worst performance. Admittedly, I think Brock would say there's a few reads that he'd want back, right, where the check down would have been enough. And you move the chains, you keep the ball. These are all things, right? The 49ers are at their best when they're controlling the time of possession, as most teams are. Control time of possession, right? Like dictate on the kids, but that's when all those other options that they have out there become appealing. That's when you can work George Kittle into the game. It's harder when it's like third and obvious. You know what I mean? And there's only one person you can target. So you want to feel good about those guys getting back. I feel like if it hasn't already been made abundantly clear to both of them, is like, guy, you're suiting up for this game. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather go out there and you limp out in the first quarter and the season's over anyway, like, and get your effort versus the extra body on the squad. Like, this is what we pay you, Trent Williams, for. This is Ricky. This is why you're a first-round pick. It's in these games, in these moments, availability is the only ability that we give a shit about.
Yeah. I can't argue with that either. I mean, especially for Ricky Pearsall, who's missed, several games this year as well. I definitely think he needs to be out there. I mean, he missed last week. Maybe that was in preparation to get him closer to 100% for this week. You're now officially in the playoffs. So, you're going to need all hands on deck. So I think that's what we could probably come to expect, but obviously something that we'll keep an eye on throughout the week. We'll know more tomorrow about, their participation in practice, but something, they'll be evaluated throughout the week. So
honestly, I feel more confident that Ricky plays, Trent doesn't. I just get leery.
Really?
I get leery of Trent admittedly has never hurt his hamstring before, right? And it becomes really hard to trust what's back there. As I've pulled my hamstring, Steph. I don't know if you've ever done it, and I've done it doing stupid things, right? And it's even the slightest degree, you just lack confidence in what you're putting back behind you in his drop step, et cetera. And having never done that before, not being certain of what his recovery is going to look and feel like. To me, Ricky, the knee, the ankle, they've all been troublesome. The team doctor's got stuff for that at least buy you enough adrenaline to get through the first half and see how it goes.
Yeah. And I know Kyle hasn't, specifically said this, but I feel like for Pearsall, it's more so the knee, the PCL than the ankle at this point, because it was a low ankle sprain for Pearsall. But the knee is what's lingering, I think, at this point. So hopefully that week of rest, gets him back in the lineup for Sunday. But let's talk about who the 49ers signed, because the 49ers did make a move to try to help this linebacker situation. All right, so they add linebacker Kaiser White, veteran. He's played on several teams, most recently with Arizona Cardinals, so we are familiar. But yeah, this kind of just feels like any way that we cannot go into this game without or with Garrett Wallow and Curtis Robinson as your 2 main linebackers, because I get it. You're definitely not going to have Bethune. Dee Winters up in the air. We'll see what that looks like throughout the week. But it's very possible that had the 49ers not made these moves, and Eric Kendricks, of course. Eric Kendricks is in the mix. But, other than that, you have Wallow and Curtis Robinson, who we know was just not going to get the job done. I mean, so Kaiser White, a veteran, has to be better, right? And he's getting signed to the practice squad, but I have to imagine he probably gets called up for this game and plays in it.
I would say he definitely plays in this game. You don't make this signing, right? This person, this body, you make another Garrett Wallow signing if you just need a body to fill and play special teams. Because Steph, admittedly, you know how we follow this team. I looked at this guy I was like, who the F is Garrett Wallow when they said his name? Like, I literally said that, like, with my wife sitting next to me was like, oh, I thought you know everything about this team. And I was like, I don't know who this man is. I don't even know when he got here or how he got here, but he clearly, and please don't take this the wrong way, like, he clearly doesn't belong here. You know what I mean? Like, and I mean that, like, there is a huge talent gap, right, between what he brings and what the other people before him would bring. Kaiser White, a little bit more athletic, a little bit fast, a little bit of a violent player. Maybe this is like, hey, maybe Salah's trying to create pressure, right? Like, because in 4 days, he's not going to get a playbook. He's not going to understand. So he's also a liability being out there, right? Not knowing what to do from a read and adjustment standpoint, no matter who can put him in the right position to make the plays. But I have to imagine you only make the signing because he gets elevated and you're just trying to catch lightning in a bottle.
I mean, you had to make a move, right?
You had no choice.
Any veteran would be better than your options that are on the roster. Which, that's just the state of the 49ers linebacker situation right now. And it's unfortunate because, they went this whole time getting it done, going 12-4, even with all the injuries that they've suffered. You don't have Bosa, you don't have Fred Warner on this defense, and you still just muster up enough to get the job done to this point. And then it all kind of like falls apart, at the end here. So I don't know what to expect. I truly don't, but I'm hoping that Eric Kendricks, Kaiser White could be better than Curtis Robinson and Garrett Wallow out there.
Here, I'll be optimistic. All these names that they're putting out there right now, they all have nothing to lose, right? So here's my thing. They're going to make mistakes. Just make that 100 miles an hour, as fast as you can go, because that might be the difference. Hitting that ball carrier as he's getting the ball pops out, right? Hitting that receiver just go full speed, right? Like, just full speed as fast as you can, make your mistakes. You guys got nothing to lose. It literally, Steph, this is not like an exaggeration. It can't get any worse for them at the position.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And for Christ's sakes, like, can the first guy there make the tackle? Like, so many times on Saturday, did I see the first guy miss or take a bad angle, try to make an arm tackle? Like, that's just not gonna get it done. It was awful. It was atrocious. It almost felt like the Seattle players and running backs were saying, hey guys, here, follow me. And you just see like the 49ers defenders like chase after them. It was there needs to be better performances from this defense. I get the talent level at this point, as you said, the lower you get on this totem pole, like, that's to be expected. You are going to have a talent drop off. So that's the unfortunate thing. But my God, can the effort just be better? Like, my God.
Tackling is two things. It's attitude and effort, right? It's the willingness to do it and just sticking your nose in there. A la an Upton Stout. Not a big man, but he puts his nose right into the mix all the time. That is attitude and effort. And it's going to be the most likely probably the final game of the 2025 season for the team. Like, just fly around and take pride in your craft. You know what I mean? None of this like Olay nonsense. I agree. We can go up and down on these long third downs where they were running plays to just get better position to punt or to go for it on fourth down and picking them up from – I never want to criticize a professional athlete's effort. I'll just tell you from our vantage point, that's clearly what it looks like, is just a lack of effort in certain moments, right?
Yeah, and for a game as important as Saturday's was, that was just hard to see and hard to swallow, to be honest. So, hopefully we get a better performance in Philly. You're going to be on the road. Obviously, that's a tough environment to play in with all the, crappy fans they have out there. But hey, hopefully that is what motivates them, right, to perform a little bit better in this one. And for anyone who saw the reports, there were reports on Saturday, right, of, Fred Warner was telling teammates that he can come back for the divisional round. Well, Kyle Shanahan was asked about Fred and how soon he could come back, just yesterday when he spoke with the media, and he said, it's too far off right now. And he said, I think it is a possibility as we get closer to a possible third game here, championship game, but it's not something we're thinking about right now. So there you have it. I just wanted to make sure I said that because, and at this point, like, Weston, would you welcome Fred Warner coming back? Like, I mean, I think if they made the divisional game, or sorry, the conference game, then yes, I think that makes sense. But, I also don't want him to like rush back for, what may be already just such a battered and bruised defense already.
Fair point. Here's what I'll say. I think Fred Warner's enough of a professional who understands the difference, right, of like what percentage of health he is when it comes to his availability. So I actually trust him to make that decision. So if he walked in right now with an air cast and was like, I'd play, you saw the list of people that they have on this roster right now. Like, I'm like, all right, Fred, but we'll call Nike. We'll get a special boot made. You know what I mean? That's like eligible. Like, I'm obviously over exaggerating in this point in time, but yeah, I'm welcoming him back. But I also think this Fred Warner talk right now at any point during this week is almost a disservice to the football team because they have a much bigger mountain to climb, and you should not be forward thinking to, oh, we can play with Fred again. Like, you got to get there. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even close to a foregone conclusion. And, oh, by the way, it just got harder to do that. But I'll say this, Steph. I'll say every team wants to be their hottest going into the playoffs. Thank you, Captain Obvious, right? But the truth is like, if you're going to take a silver lining of this loss, I'm looking at it like this. Like, okay, a moment to reset, a moment of, when things go in your way, sometimes you don't even know why they're going your way. But now you have an opportunity to see, like, what went wrong. Like, what went wrong in this game is correctable, right? Like, it's correctable in terms of, like I said, Brock has a few throws that he wishes he could get back. I promise. Not even the throws, like just the read, the choice that he made changes entire outcomes of football games. But now that's on tape. Now you get a chance to reset. Now you get back to – you start reading your own headline clippings. You start feeling real good about yourself on Instagram and TikTok, and the things are going out when you're putting up 40 points a game. And now you've been humbled on the ultimate stage. If anything, re-galvanize this team as best you can, with motivation going in, being like, everybody's going to sleep on us. We're going to be the dog walk. Like, this is Philly's get-right game for the playoffs and carves the perfect path for the Super Bowl. Use whatever motivation. And sometimes that stuff is significantly more powerful coming off of a big-time loss like that. And it's the NFL. The ball bounces funny ways. So, like, got to have hope, got to be optimistic. On paper, it just looks like a monumental task this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, they had won 6 straight, heading into that game against Seattle. We knew it was going to be a tough one. I don't – the concerning thing for me is that it felt like a momentum zapper.
For sure.
And my question is, can they get that momentum back going into it? I think you raise a couple things, like it could re-galvanize the team. That could certainly turn into some momentum, right? And get you back on track, right? But then you also, on the other side of it, you look at this defense, and it's like I feel like there's bigger urgency for the offense to figure this thing out.
For sure.
And as an offense, you have to know, like, you have to score points. You have to put these drives together, because if not, you're definitely losing. Like, that's just the state of the defense right now, that you have to help them out. You have to carry them. Like, it's not even helping them out. Like, you literally have to drag them across the finish line at this point. And I think that's a lot of pressure on the offense. I do think the offense is maybe in a position to have a better game against the Eagles than they just had against Seattle. Yeah. For one, I think the run game should have a better time, especially if Trent is back. And that should open things up where you don't feel like you have to be like so one-dimensional, right? I think, like I said, I didn't think Brock played a bad game. So if he could get some of those throws to fall in our favor, this week, then I'd feel better about the offense putting up points. I mean, we've seen this Eagles offense just look lost much of the season. Is that enough? Or is this 49ers defense going to make them look like the Eagles offense of old, right? That's the question I have. And I honestly don't know the answer at this point because, I thought the team overall was just going to look a little bit better than they did on Saturday. But this is kind of how I feel about like every loss. So the 49ers haven't lost many times this season, right? But every time they do, it just feels like the world's falling apart.
For sure.
Like it feels like, oh God, this is it. We're done. And then somehow they have found a way. But now you're in the playoffs and every week you're going to be playing good enough teams.
For sure.
So I think that's where my doubt is starting to lie.
Well, there's no get right games in the playoffs, right? Like, I mean, that's what it comes down to. Any team can win. We've seen it. We've seen teams with losing records win their division, come in and win in the wild card weekend. So we've seen crazier things for sure. And you're right. Like, I always felt like the world was crashing when the 49ers would lose this season because you finally felt like it felt at moments like the injuries have finally caught up, right? That'd be the story. Or, hey, the offense is stale, no Brock, like, or whatever, whatever excuses, like, you go back to all the injuries on the offense side of the ball, without Kittle, without Brock, without Ayuk, everything else that was going on. And, but they still found a way. Like, Steph, go back to our shows when we talked about before the season started. I don't even think we had 12 wins if this team was healthy, right? Like at the start, like we were probably saying maybe 11, 12 wins max. And the fact that they're still there, it's still really hard to win in the National Football League. As long as you can make it to the stadium, you can walk out, that tunnel, you got a chance because I say it all the time on your show, this coaching matters more in this sport than in any other professional sport in the world. And I still do believe the 49ers are – now the Eagles are as well, right? I think they are a well-coached football team, but the 49ers are a very well coached football team, evident by their record given the massacre that has been and the exodus of the roster coming into the season and throughout the season.
I mean, there's no doubt about it. This 49ers team has exceeded all of our expectations this year. I do remember thinking, I do think this team slips into the playoffs as a wild card team, which is pretty much what has happened. But I didn't think they'd do it with the 12-4 record, right? No. I did think it'd be more along the lines of, 10-6 or whatever the math is on that, or 11-5. So yeah, I'm happy about that, and then I'm proud of the team still.
Sure.
I just wish it had ended a little bit different. I wish it didn't get worse. It's just getting worse, and I hate to see that.
It's the season feels like listen. We're talking like it's over, right? And it's not, right? It is not over yet. We'll see come this weekend. So the season's definitely a moral victory for sure, right? Like you mentioned, we all thought wild card was a possibility, but we all thought that just based on strength of schedule. Their schedule actually ended up being a little bit harder than it was to start the season based on the performance of some of the teams that they played against. And they did it with all of those all-pro people that we have mentioned unavailable, right? Like throughout the vast majority of the season, which makes it crazy. And yes, they're the wild card team, but they have not been playing for a wild card spot, right? Like they've been playing for the 1 seed for the last handful of weeks in the back half of the season, which again just exceeds even our wildest imaginations coming into based on what we saw the philosophy to be coming into this season, shedding veterans, all that stuff, the youth movement, to then losing all of these people throughout the season, just totally different. So I'm thrilled, but don't get twisted. We cheer for the San Francisco 49ers. We wake up and we want Super Bowls. We want 6. I want number 6, and I'm going to cheer that way. I'm going to be ever like just passionate that way, like during this game and during every other game. But the reality is like it's a really tall order to ask of the remaining roster to be able to do it. But it's doable because it's the NFL. And it'd make a hell of a movie if there is an NFL script. Please let this be the one that's skewed towards us, right?
No, seriously, couple things on that. Like if the 49ers win this game after last week, after all the injuries and all that, right? Yeah, storybook, plot there. That just helps catapult Kyle Shanahan even further into these Coach of the Year discussions. I still know other names are being thrown around, and they're deserving as well. But I think with the win, it's like with knowing that they're gonna have less guys probably available for this one, I think it'd be a big deal. And then also it's gonna catapult this guy into more head coaching discussions. Robert Saleh already getting some interest from other teams, as you could imagine. I mean, hey, buddy, he's got some. He's like, don't leave us, Robert Saleh. I feel that too. So the Cardinals, of all teams so far, the first team to request an interview with Robert Saleh for their vacant head coach position. Now, there's a lot of openings that have opened up in the last few days. You got the Raiders, you got the Browns, and today, most notably, the Ravens as well, an open spot. And that's probably the most attractive head coaching gig of all. I'd say the Giants are another one too, but like defensive-minded coach, they have a good defense there, good offense. You have a quarterback already that you could feel great about. That would be any candidate's dream. But we don't know if Robert Saleh is going to be in those discussions yet. But if he is, I'd have to imagine, like, yes, that would be enough. Now, what I want to ask you, Weston, just because this is the first and only known request that Robert Saleh has gotten so far. It's January 6th, and that's what we know so far. I do expect there'll be more, but I just want to ask you about the Cardinals. Do you think the Cardinals alone would be a situation that Robert Saleh would be like, yes, I'll do it? Or do you think there'd be some, let me think about that. This is the NFC West we're talking about here. Sure, their defense has some nice pieces. Not sure what's going on with the offense. Historically poorly run org, for the last few years. So is that really the situation where he'd want to leave the 49ers for just knowing how things went down in New York with the Jets? Thoughts?
No. The short answer is absolutely not. Outside of just offering probably a tremendous living experience for him and his family, being in Arizona, no way. I think difference is he's already done the head coaching gig before, right? Not looking to be a first-time head coach where you could be lured by money and promise and all that stuff. Playing indoors. There's a lot that the Arizona Cardinals can offer, I think, from an organizational standpoint. What they can offer and what he's seen play out all too well. No quarterback, right? Like, that's a problem. I want to run the defensive side of the ball. I want to understand if the offense is going to be under good guys. And why would you want to stay in this crazy division where you know firsthand Shanahan, McVay, and now getting to know a little bit more about Mike McDonald? Like, it's a tough division. Like, you want to set yourself up for success, right? That doesn't feel like it. Honestly, all of the vacancies, I was like, I don't think any of them entice him. Maybe Atlanta. But as soon as the Baltimore one opened up, I was like, there it is.
Yeah.
Quarterback play, a tremendous organization inside the office, right? Like, you don't have a single head coach for that long without being a well-run organization like they did with Harbaugh. I don't even think it would make sense for him to re-entertain coming back to New York as well. He's seen that story firsthand. Giants, Jets, doesn't matter. It's a different beast. So I thought the odds were really good that there just wasn't going to be the one that made the most sense for him to take, and then maybe we could possibly retain him. And then literally I don't know, an hour after I actually had that thought out loud to myself, you see the Baltimore vacancy open up. I'm like, there it is.
Yeah.
There it is. That's the one. I mean, that's what I'd be all over that. I'd have my people all over that right now, getting conversations. And Saleh feels like a guy that Baltimore organization would like and respect, you know what I mean? The hard nose, but like just as passionate. He just fits the mold. He just fits what I feel like Baltimore's next head coach is going to be.
Yeah, defensive-minded coach.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's historically kind of what has defined their team. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I expect there'll be more teams throwing, you know, Robert Saleh's name in their hats and, you know, just seeing what comes of it. I do think, though, yeah, Saleh's probably going to be a little bit more careful about who he chooses. But that's just the thing, Weston. Like, I think he's going to end up having so many options that one is bound to be one that he likes, you know. And not to mention, even before, you know, signing on with the 49ers to rejoin them, you know, he was about to take that Jags job.
Yeah.
You know, he was a finalist for that one, as we know. So I think that tells you the intention is there. And yes, like I saw that as well. He did sign a new agent, which typically means, hey, I'm getting ready for something here. Yep. And so I think the writing's on the wall. But yeah, it's got to be the right fit too. So we'll see where things go. But I think at least one of these openings is going to be enticing to him. And I have to imagine that all of them, if not most of them, are going to interview him. So we'll see where this goes for Robert Saleh. But outside of even Robert Saleh, you know, the 49ers execs also get a lot of interest throughout the league. As of right now, it seems like the Dolphins are most interested in the 49ers execs, which maybe is not so surprising, right? I mean, Mike McDonald, you know, they know what he likes, and you know, I'm sure that's part of the reason. I'm surprised Mike McDonald's sticking around, to be honest, but I digress. So you got Tariq Ahmad, 49ers VP of Player Personnel, RJ Gillen, the 49ers Assistant GM, and Josh Williams, their Director of Scouting and Football Ops. All three of those guys have interview requests with the Dolphins for their GM position. So interesting approach for the Dolphins, but they said, hey, we're leaving here with something. So they're probably more than likely going to hire at least one of these 49ers guys. Because
gotta like the odds of that happening and playing out. And, you know, I think this is something that the 49ers, specifically this regime, has just done so well. Get these behind the scene guys promoted, taken out, and they receive compensation in return for the work and effort that they put into them. And hey, for the first time in a while, we have a low volume number of draft picks coming up, right? Or what feels like a low volume. If you can recoup some and get a comp pick here, a comp pick there. And it does make sense. Mike McDaniel being down there knows these guys firsthand. They're definitely going to be looking to make some changes. So familiarity, like Steph, it's who you know, not what you know league more than it is anything else. And these guys like Saleh's already got his names, right? Like for this whole head coaching gig that's coming up, like they're not often scrambling, right? Like, hey, I'm gonna probably take this job. You're ready to come, right? You're ready to come. You're ready to come. Look at the Bobby Turner, Tom Rathman situation right here in San Francisco, right? Everybody loved Tom Rathman. Of course we love Tom Rathman. But Kyle made promises the Bobby Turner that, you know, started with his father, that you go with me wherever, you know, and here we are. It's that type of league. They all take care of each other. So not surprised to see like one organization saying, got it, we'll take all three of you.
Yeah, or any one of you three. So and in addition to the Dolphins GM position, Josh Williams also has been has gotten interest for the Falcons president of football role that they have available. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, the 49ers, you know, as you were saying, they put their guys in good position. I think they make them pretty visible. So they do get these opportunities. And I think they feel really good about the guys that they have in the building and how they develop these guys internally, and hard to argue. Like there's been so many guys already that have kind of come through and gotten new jobs, and the 49ers seem to do okay, even without. Just a side note here, if any of these guys do end up taking a job, right, and leaving the 49ers, I think the next man up to get a promotion would be Dominic DeCiccio, I think is how you say his name, director of college scouting. Because he, to me, as I go to these events and I see how these guys kind of scout, how often they're at, like he just seems to be a high-ranking kind of guy, and I think he's next up. So that's my guess. I'm putting it out there on, early January, and so if he gets the nod, I had it first. All right.
You heard it here.
Nowhere you heard it first.
But you know what? It's also the kudos to the 49ers. They build a organizational resume, right? So when the next young and upcomers are scouring their opportunities or taking a leap of faith to go take a very low paid scouting job within an organization because they believe that it will actually that team takes promotion seriously and lets these folks rise to the top. Like these folks are making decisions about their life as well, and they're doing it about the future employment scenario, and like no different than choosing a college or a university or who your employer is going to be. Is it a stepping stone to the next path? Same thing, and you want your doors wide open, right? Especially like this is because like the GMs, the coaches, they're not getting older. They're getting younger. You know what I mean? Like the innovative minds, like there's a lot that goes into these decisions, and you want to be a progressive organization in that regard. And they've done that very well. They've done that before it was hip to do it, Steph. You know what I mean? And now it's becoming a thing to be, just hey, it's about thoughts and ideas and what you can bring and your attitude and your effort. It's not like there's a lot that goes into it, and you want the most open minds like coming in, because that's what the innovation comes from. Like that's what takes the game to the next level.
Indeed. Yeah, it definitely looks good on the 49ers. They could develop these guys, and they have interest every single year. My one concern is that, scouting happens throughout the year, usually through the NFL season. I mean, or the college football season, which, is ending now, but that's what I'm saying. It overlaps with the NFL football season. And so a lot of that scouting has happened already. Yes, there's more to come, obviously, with the combine, with Senior Bowl and all that. But that's kind of just like, crossing your T's and dotting your I's type of work. My point is that all of these guys who are getting interviewed have their favorites, have done their scouting specifically for the 49ers. And it always sucks to know that when these guys get hired, that knowledge and those favorites, they go to another team, right? So that's how you end up competing with other teams for similar players. We've already seen that with, Commanders, Adam Peters, and other guys who have ended up elsewhere. So
they gather the notes, right? Like this is a very tangled web. The NFL scouting down to collegiate scouting and all of how that goes, right? There's regional guys and gals that are on the road doing this, meeting all the players. They go there with the players checked off that they want to watch, and then they have their favorites. And the director of college scouting is more like, I'm going to let everybody bang the table for one guy, and then I'm going to make the decision on the one who we actually are really like. You know what I mean? And surface it that way. But you're right. That it always boils down to when that change happens, that person plucking 2 to 3 of like your crushes throughout the process that you knew would be a 49er if that person was still here.
Happens every time. Every time. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, we'll continue to keep tabs on some of these things, the Robert Saleh head coaching thing, and as well as the execs, as well as the 49ers injuries throughout the week. So make sure you guys keep it locked. Make sure you guys like this video if you haven't yet. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you know when I go live. I know shows have been a little more sporadic lately. Appreciate your guys' patience and sticking around. But yeah, we'll be definitely back Friday for the preview show for this week's game. And for now, have a good rest of your Tuesday. YouTube viewers, I'm going to be going live shortly in about 15 minutes or so with Bully Ball. So make sure you guys tune in for that as well. For now, enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Peace.